Ladies and gentlemen, what we are witnessing today is not just another twist in the long, winding saga of American politics. It is the very embodiment of betrayal, ambition, and the relentless, unforgiving theater that unfolds behind closed doors in Washington, D.C. In a dramatic turn of events that has sent shockwaves through the corridors of Congress, Donald Trump has effectively torched the political future of one of his closest allies, J.D. Vance, in what can only be described as a brutal and deliberate backstab. The man Trump once called a true MAGA warrior, the senator from Ohio who stood by him, defended him, praised him, and even remade himself in Trump's image, has now found himself discarded, sidelined, and sacrificed on the altar of Trump's own ambitions. For months, speculation had run rampant about who Trump would select as his running mate. Many believed it would be Vance. He checked all the boxes: loyal, articulate, appealing to the working class, and fiercely dedicated to the populist nationalist message that Trump has made the cornerstone of his political brand. Vance was everywhere, on Fox News, on Truth Social, in Rally, echoing Trump's words, defending him from critics, and preparing himself for the big moment. And then, just as suddenly as he had been elevated, Vance was cut down. Not in a whisper, not in a private phone call, but in a very public, very calculated display of power. Trump named someone else. Not only did he pass over Vance, he didn't even mention his name. The silence was louder than any insult. The message was clear. J.D. Vance was no longer in Trump's inner circle, and for a man whose entire political identity had become intertwined with Trumpism, that silence was a death knell. The backlash was swift and unforgiving. Allies of Vance were left scrambling. Some lashed out, others went into hiding, unsure of what this meant for their own careers. The MAGA base, confused and divided, began to turn on each other. And in Congress, the chaos spilled over. House Republicans, already fractured by infighting and a razor-thin majority, erupted into a storm of accusations. Was Trump losing his grip on the movement he created? Or was this a masterstroke of political chess, eliminating a potential rival in his own camp? In the Senate, Vance appeared shaken but composed. He issued a brief, carefully worded statement congratulating Trump on his choice, vowing to continue the fight for America First values. But the tone was hollow, and everyone knew it. This was no mere snub, it was a declaration. Vance, for all his loyalty, had been used, and now discarded. But why? Why would Trump, the ultimate transactional politician, turn on one of his most reliable allies? Theories abound. Some say Trump saw in Vance a threat, not in 2024, but in 2028. A young, articulate conservative with tech connections, venture capital backing, and a taste for the spotlight. Others believe it was more personal, that Trump never truly trusted Vance, whose early criticism of him in 2016 has never been fully forgotten. That Trump prefers sycophants to thinkers, loyalists to intellectuals. Whatever the reason, the consequences are clear. A political alliance has been shattered, and the ripple effects are just beginning. In Ohio, Vance's base is now questioning its faith. In D.C., Republicans are being forced to pick sides, remain blindly loyal to Trump, or begin to hedge their bets in a post-Trump world. And in the media, the narrative is shifting. Trump, once seen as the unifier of the populist right, is being recast as the divider. A man willing to destroy his own creation if it means securing the spotlight for just a little longer. Some say this is vintage Trump: divide and conquer, elevate and destroy, that he thrives in chaos and uncertainty. But this time, something feels different. The backlash is louder, the disappointment more bitter, and the fracture lines within the GOP are more visible than ever before. Make no mistake, this is not just about one man being passed over. It's about the soul of a movement. It's about what happens when loyalty becomes a one-way street. And it's about the price you pay when you tie your destiny to someone who plays by no rules but his own. J.D. Vance may not say it publicly, but he has been betrayed, not just politically, but personally, And the sting of that betrayal will not fade quickly. For now, he returns to the Senate, wounded but not destroyed. But the road ahead is uncertain. Can he reclaim his identity outside of Trump's shadow? Can he speak truth to power without being cast as a traitor by the base he once inspired? Or will he fade into political obscurity, just another name on the long list of those who flew too close to the sun? As for Trump, he marches on, for now. But every empire built on fear and loyalty eventually crumbles. And if this moment marks the beginning of that unraveling, history will remember it not as a strategic decision, but as the moment when power devoured its own. The moment when Trump, in his quest for dominance, destroyed the very thing he claimed to protect. The moment when J.D. Vance learned the hardest lesson in politics. In Trump's world, there are no allies, only pawns. And when the king no longer needs you, he doesn't just move on. He wipes you off the board. In the intricate and often brutal world of politics, loyalty is a fragile currency, freely spent but rarely returned. That truth became painfully clear in the case of J.D. Vance, a rising star in the Republican Party whose loyalty to Donald Trump was not only consistent but deeply personal, almost devotional. Vance, the best-selling author of Hillbilly Elegy, had once been a Trump skeptic, even a critic. But in the years that followed Trump's rise, Vance underwent a dramatic political transformation. He embraced Trumpism, not merely as a political strategy, but as a personal creed. He echoed Trump's grievances, championed his policies, and reshaped his own political identity to align with the movement that Trump created. That transformation was rewarded, or so it seemed. With Trump's endorsement, Vance won a highly competitive Senate race in Ohio. He was welcomed into the MAGA inner circle, frequently praised by Trump as one of the smartest and strongest voices of the America First movement. It was widely believed that Vance was being groomed for something more, perhaps even the vice presidency. And yet, in one swift move, Trump destroyed that future. Without warning, without explanation, Trump passed over Vance for the VP slot. But it wasn't just a political decision. It was the method that carried the weight. Trump didn't quietly inform Vance beforehand, nor did he offer a graceful explanation. Instead, he unveiled his choice in a grand public moment, complete with all the pageantry and spectacle that has become his signature. In that instant, Vance wasn't just rejected, he was humiliated. His name wasn't even mentioned. It was a calculated silence, deliberate and devastating. That silence was more brutal than any direct criticism could have been. In politics, visibility is everything. When a powerful figure like Trump refuses to acknowledge someone who was once in his inner orbit, it sends a loud signal to everyone else. It tells the donors, the strategists, the media, and the voters that this person is no longer relevant, no longer protected, no longer favored. Vance's political capital, built carefully over years of public loyalty, was incinerated in seconds. The implications of this betrayal run deeper than Vance's personal future. It exposes a dark and dangerous truth about the political ecosystem that surrounds Trump. In this ecosystem, loyalty is demanded but never reciprocated. Devotion is expected, but it earns no guarantees. Allies are used, not elevated, and when they become inconvenient or simply no longer useful, they are discarded with chilling efficiency. What makes Vance's situation even more tragic is the fact that he had redefined himself entirely around Trump's vision. Unlike others in the GOP who navigated a careful balance between traditional conservatism and MAGA populism, Vance went all in. He spoke Trump's language. He mirrored his disdain for the political establishment. He defended Trump against every scandal, every investigation, every moment of controversy. To his critics, this made Vance a sellout, a man who traded intellect for influence. But to his supporters, it made him a loyal soldier, someone willing to fight for the forgotten American, to challenge the elite, and to disrupt the system. That devotion, however, was not enough to secure Trump's favor when it mattered most. And now, Vance finds himself in a political purgatory. He is too closely tied to Trump to be embraced by anti-Trump conservatives, but no longer embraced by Trump himself. That is the cruel irony of his position. He sacrificed everything for an alliance that turned out to be transactional and temporary. This betrayal also sends a chilling message to others in Trump's orbit. If someone like Vance can be cast aside so easily, what hope is there for anyone else? It creates an atmosphere of fear and insecurity where no one knows who will be next. This is not the foundation of a strong political movement. It is the structure of a cult of personality, where the leader's whims override loyalty, merit, or strategy. And in that kind of environment, even the most talented and devoted allies are always one step away from exile. The broader impact of this moment is also being felt within the Republican Party. The rift between the MAGA wing and the traditional conservatives has grown deeper. Vance's betrayal adds fuel to that fire. For moderates and establishment Republicans, it serves as a warning of what happens when you put your fate in Trump's hands. For the MAGA base, it causes confusion and division. Many saw Vance as a hero of the movement. Now they are being asked, without any explanation, to move on, to forget him, to redirect their loyalty elsewhere. That kind of cognitive dissonance is unsustainable. It breeds resentment, doubt, and eventually defection. For Vance, the path forward is uncertain. He can attempt to rebuild his political identity independent of Trump, but that will be an uphill battle. The MAGA base is notoriously unforgiving to those perceived as having fallen out of favor. Alternatively, he can try to maintain a low profile, continue his Senate work, and hope for a future where Trump no longer dominates the political landscape. Either way, the betrayal has changed him, and the system around him, forever. This moment is not just about Vance or Trump. It is a cautionary tale for anyone who seeks power through proximity to someone who sees loyalty as a tool, not a value. It is a reminder that in the world of high-stakes politics, especially within the Trump-dominated GOP, no one is safe and no alliance is permanent. It is a sobering truth for those who thought they could ride the wave of Trumpism without being drowned by it. And for J.D. Vance, it is the bitter realization that in placing all his bets on loyalty to one man, he may have gambled away everything else.